all started about 29 years ago with the vision to drive local capacity and build competencies to deliver world-class lifts and escalator engineering in Nigeria with strong partnership across the world. Kresta Laurel Limited. We should have a conversation with the founding chairman and chief executive officer, engineer Otunba Gbenga Daniel, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. It is Inside Business presentation. A very good day to you and thanks for joining us. My name is Kenneth Odushola Stevenson and this is Inside Business Africa. Today we are having a presentation on the conversation, a very important special on Inside Business Africa. And we're going to be discussing nation building, entrepreneurship and builders with engineer Otunba Gbenga Daniel, the founding chairman, chief executive of Kresta Laurel Limited, one of the leading player in the engineering sector in Nigeria. Let me just right away move on to bring in engineer Otunba Gbenga Daniel, the chairman, chief executive of Kresta Laurel Limited, Nigeria. Your Excellency Otunba Gbenga Daniel, an engineer, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Thank you again for joining us on this conversation on nation building, engineering and Kresta Laurel Limited indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Your Excellency, on the recently held the Partners Forum that was done in Lagos at Eco Hotel, to be precise. And, you know, what really is the objective of the Partners Forum? Is it being met, and how far has it been?
Our company started operations about 28 years ago. And being an engineering company, we do have several partners. As you are aware, the engineering as a concept, regrettably, in Africa we have not developed enough. So for us to therefore achieve what you can call the required minimum competencies, we need to have technical partners. So we do have those partners, some of which you met. And we also found that a number of the practitioners from time to time need to refreshing their memories. Technology, as you know, is not something that's stagnant. There are new discoveries, there are better ways of doing things. So what we then decided to do is occasionally we bring all of them together. I will also bring technical practitioners in the industry together to interact, to talk about new technologies, things that are happening, and to also seize the opportunity to relaunch our company.
Kresta Laurel Limited, for about 29 years, has been the leading player in the engineering sector in Nigeria, and especially in the area of escalators and elevator business. And you've actually maintained that leadership, so to speak. Now, it is a business in Nigeria. And now, what are the key drivers of the success of the vision of Kresta Laurel Limited over the years? And was there any time in your own operations and life that you had to rejig the vision in line with the growing technology globally?
For you to become a proficient elevator engineer that is reliable, that can be entrusted to projects, you probably need to have garnered experience over a minimum period of about 12 years. So quite a number of the people that you have working here, averagely some of them have spent about 15 years, 18 years, 20 years or more. Part of the rejigging process is the regrowth of the personnel, and that's part of what we've seen that we've been trying to do. We need to now also bring another generation of players. The world is becoming completely digitalized. The elevator, technology is now becoming digitalized. Everything is automated. The kind of electromechanical systems we had in the past are giving way to, chips and electronic bound equipment. Destinations are now pre-programmed. You can now, with your phone, you can now control your lift. So that's where technology is going. You can program it. So because of that, we need to continuously do this, rejigging and this rejuvenation. And like I've said earlier on, it is a field where the black man does not have enough respect, because it is a field where you cannot afford mistakes. Mistakes could be fatal. And I'm particularly happy that in all of the last 3 decades of our operations, we've not had any accidents. We've not had any fatal accidents. That is also one of the things we are proud of. What we call HSC, which is really, safety and environmental issues, are very key in what we do, and how we do our work. And that is part of why we are today the only ISO certified lift company operating in Nigeria, which means effectively that the kind of standards of our delivery is what you find in any civilized environment. And that's what international players look for when they come to an environment like this. If you are able to say, look, this is my ISO certification, then they know what to expect. They know that the way international best practices is what you used to run. That has its own drawbacks, because you spend a lot of resources ensuring standards. And in an environment where people may not necessarily appreciate, people like shortcuts. Sometimes the bottom line is not the best. But we are proud, we are excited, and we are very happy that we have been able to make a difference in the industry.
Most of Kresta Laurel partners have remained with the business for almost all the time since you've been around, and which means there must have been some key drivers of the success of the partnership. What are the drivers of the partnership success over the years?
Well, it's about standards. It's about standards, international standards, international best practices. It's also about doing things professionally and in a way that is acceptable to the international community. When you have a good partner and who is complying with all the rules and regulations, who is not cutting corners, there will be no need to move on. And I think that's precisely what has happened. My own personal relationship, for instance, with management DMAG, dates even more than 20, 30 years. I think my first exposure to DMAG was in 1982, when I was working for a Concord show that's a German firm. So 82 till now. That's about 30 plus. Yes. So as a person, I've been associated with the DMAG brand. Ditto for Coney Elevators. They bought Sabian, which used to be what I was working with early in the 80s. And so the relation with Coney is also personally close to 35 years or thereabout. So that's really where we are coming from. When we started, we had no chance, simply because even Nigerians do not believe in Nigerian companies to come and touch technology. So we had that at the back of our mind, and we decided ab initio that we were going to run an international company in Nigeria. So that is the difference, that we decided to run an international company in the Nigerian environment. So if we want to talk about the key, that may be part of the key to some of the things that we have been able to do. The other thing I must say to you is this. It's not all about commercial gain for us here. In the last few decades, I'm aware that we must have done hundreds and hundreds of projects. And I don't have any recollection that there is one project that we abandoned midway. And what that means is that sometimes it is not commercially fulfilling. But the fact that you build your reputation and you do not want it to be said that they gave a job to this company and is not able to finish it, we would rather go and finish that job and lose money than not finish it. So that is part of what has driven our strategy, the way we've done our work. So a lot of it has to be personal satisfaction. It's an engineering process to see that the job is finished and you can point at the job at any point and you feel very happy. And you see then, Abuja is probably the most complex elevator installation that we have. We finished this in 2001. And if you go to the buildings today, 2001 to date is, how many years now? About 20 years. If you go to that building today, the elevators are still looking new. And some other installations that they've done, 5-10 years ago, people are removing the lifts and replacing it. So that is really the sort of thing that gives us joy. In other civilized countries of the world, you go to some old cities in Rome, in Italy, you go to some dingy house, you find an elevator that's 50 years old, it's still running. But here, people just cut corners, throw something there, 5 years later, it's all over. So these are the sort of things that drive us.
Your Excellency, apart from manpower, over 90%, even the manpower you have to transfer technology and build competencies and capacity building for the industry, over 90% of the components of elevators and escalators and the kind of business you do are being imported, and you have to be battling with this foreign exchange market, the volatile economy and the rest of them. How have you been able to weather the storm and also to survive bearing the unstable foreign exchange market?
Well, it's talking about importation and local production. It is the economic of scale that really determines that. We have competencies to do quite a number of things here. There's no doubt about that. All the steel fabrication, we have all the steel here, we can do the fabrication here. But when you look at it again holistically, where is the steel coming from? It's still coming from abroad. All the things that you want to fabricate here, where they come from? That's coming from abroad. All the equipment that you want to use to fabricate, where they come from? That's coming from abroad. So at the end of the day, the best you can do is to make sure that in terms of local content in our own field, it is the brain, it is the human capacity. That is a lot of what you are putting into it. Yes, you can decide that you want to do fabrications here. We do a lot of fabrications, especially for some of the crane girders and some of the guides and rails and all that. We do them here. But where the economies of scale comes in is that for some of those things to be able to happen economically, the figures must be high. There's no point you setting up, for instance, a lift manufacturing plant in Nigeria, for instance. How many lifts does the market have in a year that warrant that kind of investment? Whereas in some other civilized countries, they are turning out lifts in hundreds of thousands. So if all I have to do in a year is about 1,000 lifts in Nigeria best, and then I put a facility that has capacity to do 100,000, 200,000 elevators a year, where do I sell them to? And have the country developed that kind of reputation that people from South Africa, from Ghana, from Guinea, from Egypt will feel happy that they are bringing elevators from Lagos, Nigeria, from Nigeria. Psychologically, we are still not there, but it's something we have to continuously work on. And I'm hoping that if we do what we are doing, we get it right, definitely we'll have a better environment for this kind of mass production, which is necessary in terms of what we're talking about.
At a point in your life, Your Excellency, for over 8 years, you actually ventured into politics and became the executive governor of Ogun State, and for 8 years, and indeed, for those 8 years, you must have done quite a lot of things that you believe that should be a legacy that must be followed by successive administration in that state. Can you actually point out some of the legacies you've left behind in terms of governance in Ogun State?
Well, I'm personally, and I guess a number of people feel happy and proud of what we have been able to do in the state. For me, it was an intervention. We saw an opportunity to add value to what was going on in the state, to be able to provide opportunities for a lot more people to get employed, to be able to open up the potential of the state. If you remember, we used to call our state the the sleeping giant at that time. And the mantra of our intervention was to go and awaken the sleeping giant, because we called it the sleeping giant because we look at the potentials. And we saw that, 60 years ago when we were intervening, 17 years ago, the potentials were not tapped, were not explored. So our mantra was to go there, to open up the place, to create opportunities for massive employment of our people, massive industrialization, better way of doing things, which I think to a very large extent we successfully did. And once we've done that, by the time we're leaving, we said the giant is now awake, so our job is done. So people cannot build on that, which is precisely what has happened and what is happening. So I think one is quite fulfilled with the little one was able to do in all applications, educationally, sports development, tourism, industrialization, agriculture. We touched everything we could possibly touch in 8 years, and I guess that when you look at what's going on now, the result of those activities of ours is what is now evolving, and we're very happy about it.
Well, Your Excellency, I'll come back to you to talk about the issue of governance and your tenure as the Executive Governor of Ogun State. But let's take a show reel as to some of the interesting soundbites from the Partners Forum that was held recently in Lagos. And then we'll come back to you to continue this conversation.
We should get people or entities that are well qualified for this task to carry our job, and then the majority of all the things we're discussing here will be mitigated, reduced. That is my own recommendation to our construction industry.
I'm living here with strong determination and strong hope that our country will still make it, that Nigeria will be saved, Nigeria will be changed, and Nigeria will become great in our own lifetime.
Here in Nigeria, we work with our partner Kresta Laurel to sell lifts and escalators into this market.
I would say I was a year ahead of him, but then he was really a mentor to me, in the sense that as young as he was that time, I think he was about 12 or 13 years old, he's always very neat, very organized.
And he said, Auntie, you have to sell some to build others. I remember that very well. And he was selling some of these gigantic properties, I think in Festac and so on. And then emerged the Kresta Laurel building in Maryland.
And we are pleased to tell you that we are among these first 7 people among all distributors in the world to first get the MBN certification. I'm talking of among about 52 or so distributor countries.
We represented by our own offices in several countries, and in the countries where we don't have our own offices, we are represented by distributors like Kresta Laurel.
Welcome back, Your Excellency. Let's continue with this our conversation with the issue of governance. As an engineer, as an infrastructure person, will you say that you've added quite a lot nationally and also especially in Ogun State, tremendous value to the infrastructure development in the state? And can we be specific really about some of these particular underlying factors or things that you have done that we could refer to as the legacy of Otunba Gbenga Daniel in terms of infrastructure in Ogun State?
You want to read the book, but basically, let's look at education. We think that Ogun State can be the Boston in Nigeria, which is like the educational basket of the country. And I think we were able to, even in the sheer number of tertiary institutions we were able to put in place, most of them from scratch. I think that the last count we did about 8. And most people may not remember that. For instance, the Tertiary University of Education, we established that, and it is the first of its kind in Nigeria, and so the second in Africa. In line with the dreams of the founding fathers, we opened up campuses, the College of Technology in Ibogu, College of Agricultural Sciences in Ayeto. So that's already 3 campuses. Talking of the next level, which is the polytechnics, we did 4, in fact 5. The Bradestan Polytechnic in Jepubo we did. The Adigberu Polytechnic in Tori we did. The Polytechnic in Shapade in Remo we did. The one in Igbesa we did. That's already 3 plus 4, 7. And when we're trying to do our industrialization and we open the free trade zones, we also established what is now known as GP, Gateway Industrial and Petrochemical Institute, ONE. At the point when we established that, it was the second in Nigeria. The only other one is the PTI in Efrom in Warri. So we have our own PTI, means Petrochemical Institute. This was the Warri, established by the federal government. As a state, we did the one in One, in the water side. So those are, for instance, 8 tertiary institutions which are in place, which are running. You also know that industrially, to establish several of those industrial estates. Because apart from the Kenya industrial estates, which I think was done in the days of Chibawolo, and of course the one in Ota, which was opened by the first civilian governor of the state, Chibisi Olobanjo. We opened so many other ones. The flag gate in Shagamu, where people like Konda and Nesuza, is what we opened, and so many other industries. We did 3 free trade zones. The one we did with partnership with China is the Guadon Free Trade Zone running in Igbesa. We've done also the Olukula Free Trade Zone, where in fact the Dangote's refinery was to be sited there, if not for some, let's say, mistakes by the immediate past governor, my successor. That one would have been there. And you know that is the biggest refinery in the world. It's in Lekki, so no sweat. It's still a neighboring state. We did another one, the free transposition free trade zone for local government, amongst others. That's why I said I don't want to really talk about all of that, because I don't want to be sounding. You need to read the book. Remember, we did 3 stadia. The Gateway Stadium in Jebode, the one in Shagamu, the one in Ilaro. And people have forgotten that we actually hosted a World Cup in Jebode in 2009, FIFA. So I can go on and on, you know. We just thank God that He allowed us to achieve some of those things during our time. Like I said, it's not something that is for any time. That's a book. I'll give you 1 or 2 books.
At the point, Your Excellency, you had to launch another arm of the Kresta Laurel Limited. That's Kresta Laurel Construction. Let's look at the journey so far in terms of the performance of Kresta Laurel Construction and some of the milestones you have achieved and the project specifically that the firm has been able to deliver over time.
We are tendering a new baby. KLA Construction is a demand which we can call, a vertical integration. As part of what we need to do, because we found out that there is indeed a dearth of good construction companies in the country, and so we're very happy to do it. In terms of patronage, we've started well. We have some work that we're doing, and there are quite a number of others that are in view. I have no doubt in my mind that it will cut its teeth. Because they have no other choice. They have good references and they have good starting blocks. So I'm hoping that and in any case the construction environment is open. This whole country has construction. In the course of our travel nationwide, there's one thing that I have found out, that the level of unemployment which exists in Nigeria is not sustainable. That's something we give. What is given is what we are now saying today. People will now use excuses, either they will use religion to perpetrate crime, they will kidnap. It's all crime. And it's all a product of massive unemployment over the years in this country. I was close to being scared in the course of my nationwide tour in recent times, because everywhere we went, you will expect that if you put a political meeting or a rally on a weekday, you will not have good attendance, but people are supposed to be either in school or at work. But if you put it on a Monday morning, massive crowd. On any day, massive crowd. So, what has happened? When we used to understand as a young man, if you want to have a political meeting, you don't put it on weekdays, because it's not really supposed to be the great vocation of people. It's supposed to be like service, part-time. So when you want to put a meeting, you say, okay, let's look at either Friday evening after they've all left their work, or Saturday, or sometimes Sunday after church. Those are the time you look for. But because of my tour, every single day there are massive unemployed, hopeless people waiting for crumbs on the table. And after all of that, the party is over, everybody is spending politically again. They are on the street now kidnapping, and then saying there is nothing you need for them, they don't need any Western education, and then they now look for some spurious reason to commit crime. They are criminals. And this crime, which is the bane of our society today, is born out of unemployment, massive unemployment, and lack of education on the part of the young people. That really is the kind of godfather we're sitting on.
Let's go back to infrastructure in Nigeria. Infrastructure challenge in Nigeria, we all know, especially in the areas of power, roads, and other form of infrastructure, it's a big deal. What should we be doing now as a nation? Because we know the challenges are there in terms of increasing or change the status quo, as it were.
I think that the Nigerian problem is fundamental. And I'm afraid what governments have been doing in and out is to try to scratch the surface, and like medical people would put it, they are just treating the symptoms. They are not looking at what is responsible for those symptoms. So whether it's in terms of the power generation, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of everything that has failed in Nigeria, my submission is that it is a fundamental problem. How do we resolve it? It's still leadership. If the leadership knows what he wants, Nigerians are also easily malleable once they see a good leader showing leadership by example. But what Nigerians are unable to live with is for the leader to be saying something and either in him or all around him, people see something different. And so everybody who is doing anything in Nigeria wants to cheat and wants to go for shortcuts, because at the end of the day, using the popular parlance, you are on your own. So if you are involved in infrastructural development and you know that if by chance you run into a medical issue, the state has a medical program that can look after you, then you do the job well. But if you are working in the power sector, for instance, I've just given little two examples, and you know that if by chance you have an accident and something happens to you, the state will look after your family, then you put in your best. But if you are working there and you know that if something happens to you, there is no big hospital that can look after you, you then must begin to think of how you are going to fly yourself abroad, which your salary cannot take. So you now begin to cut corners. So it's a vicious circle. So my thesis therefore is that you can talk about infrastructure, you can talk about power, you can talk about road, you can talk about construction, you can talk about healthcare. It's all the same. Until and if we get into the right way of doing things, we are not going to make this disciple. We can talk around it. Everybody can come into theory. You can call international experts, you can do this, you can do whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, those of us who are going to be the operators of the system, and inevitably we don't have enough resources like Saudi Arabia, for instance, to be the expatriate to do everything for them. And that's the sort of thing we are trying to do, which is not going to take us anywhere. We have numbers here. Yesterday, we are told the Nigerian population is hitting 200 million. And people are projected that in another 5 years or thereabout, Nigeria will probably be the third most populous country in the world. And they are saying in another 10, 15 years, probably half of the world will be black. And more than 50% of the blacks are Nigerians. So that's where we are headed to. So we are not in a position to say that each and every job we want to do must be done by expatriates. We don't have the resources. So Rome, Germany, Britain were built by the Romans, by the Germans, by the Britons. So we as Nigerians have to build this country. And in building this country, the only way to build it economically in a way that is sustainable is to do it correctly at the right prices, so that at least whatever happens, the little resources we have is also kept here, and there is therefore a multiplier effect, a good distribution of the wealth. Somebody has done the progresses and spoken about how Israel, one of the newest countries in the world, created in 1967 after the Yom Kippur War, have become probably one of the richest also in the world. Why? Because they had learned to keep the wealth of Israel in Israel. I don't know whether I'm complicated. The real reason why India has now, people say that India and Nigeria attained the trends at the same time. Okay, India used to be very, very poor. Okay, but what did they do? They kept their consumption pattern within the capacity of what India can provide. And they've done that over a period of about 20, 30 years. Now, India has now broken the jinx of poverty. And all of a sudden, we are now taking our patients to India for treatment and so on and so forth. So, it all boils down to the same thing. Until and when we appreciate that we have to live within our means and we have to do whatever we want to do with local capacity. You know, apart from a few things where we still cannot take a chance, you know, like trying to build an aeroplane. Okay, if you build a Nigerian aeroplane, nobody will get in there because we are not there yet. But so many other things that unfortunately we are bringing up. If you know the amount we spend on furniture in this country, and where does the wood come from? Where does the hide and skin which turns to leather come from? It's all from Nigeria. So the things that are taken out of here as raw materials, the logs and all of that, they are processed in China, processed in Turkey, processed in all of these things. And now we're now using foreign exchange to now go and bring those things here because we will not be able to do them here. Whereas, just look at the transportation cost. Look at what we are suffering from bitumen. Bitumen is in Odo, is in Ogun. And then we now have to go and use foreign exchange, and we need bitumen to build roads. Then we now have to go and use foreign exchange to bring bitumen from Venezuela and some of the other locations where there is bitumen. Even the transportation cost of bitumen is the same price as the price of bitumen. Whereas we have bitumen here that can put a lot of energy. There is no amount of bitumen that there is no country in Africa that has bitumen other than Nigeria in commercial quantity. So even if we spend a lot of money doing bitumen here, you will find out that there is indeed enough to use for us here and to export to all. And in any case, everybody wants to take bitumen. We look at transportation cost, logistic cost. So if it's cheaper to take it from Nigeria, I'm not going to go to Venezuela to take bitumen to Zambia or to Mozambique or to Zimbabwe or to God knows where. I'll take it from here because the transport is very, very high. These are little things that you think common sense will push our leaders to concentrate upon. But unfortunately, it has not happened. So this is really where we are. So my thesis therefore is that you can go from here and talk about the failure of the power system and all of that and all of that. We need to look at what are the underlying factors, and it unfortunately boils down to leadership and knowledge.
Your Excellency, 25 years down the line, I'm going to be talking about the future plans in terms of what Kresta Laurel Limited should be doing, and bearing in mind that almost all your partners globally are over 100 years old, and you have done about 29 years thereabout. So what are the, in 25 years down the line, now you look back, what will you want Kresta Laurel to look like, or what will you want it to be, and what are the strategies to ensure this is sustained?
If you remember during that program, part of what some people said was, when are we going to open up the company so that other people can subscribe to it? And that's where we are now. Because we have done our own bit, whether we like it or not, we're not getting younger. The next generation are coming in. But for a company like this to be a name that is there in perpetuity, ownership will be diversified. So part of what we're therefore trying to do is to begin to work out a system of diversified ownership so that a lot more Nigerians can invest in the brand, and that also means that, and that's part of the reason why we're ensuring that the management that is in place is not a management that is about a person. And remember, we performed the experiment, we worked. For 8 years I wasn't here. So there must be something we did right, that in all of those 8 years, the brand was not diminished. So and if we have been able to do that successfully, it means we can do it perpetually. And that's really where our concentration will be the next few years. I think, by and large, if It's part of the reason why when we were starting the company, that Gbenga and Son. But that's not the brand we're looking for. It's not about the person, you know. It's like, let's build a brand that can be there in perpetuity and that have international appeal. And it's in everything that we do, the names we call the company, the product we sell, and everything. That's where we are.
Your Excellency, I'll say this is my final question, but it may be your last word on this particular program for today. But then it's going to center around Nigeria, engineering sector, infrastructure, capacity building, and the growth trajectory of the nation and the sector vis-a-vis Nigeria as a nation. Now, for you, what do you have to say as your final word? And maybe we can take it as an advice to government and corporate leaders in the country.
Well, unfortunately, many of our people think that the only thing that you're required to run a business or start a business is big capital. My own experience is not necessarily so. I think that first there must be determination to succeed. There must be resilience, because whatever you do, the way our environment is programmed is that you will not get support, and you will not even get support from the expected quarters. And I have a real life story to tell, that when I started Kresta Laurel, I thought I had goodwill, the number of people that I've dealt with. And I thought that quite a number of those people are the ones who provide support, but it did not happen. Quite on the contrary, everybody folded their hands and said, well, let's see, what does he think he is, and why is he not satisfied? He has a good job, and now he's living in certainty for certainty. Okay, let's see what he wants to do. So quite a number of our people, were just looking. They were just looking. So resilience is therefore a key factor. The other issue which is important is also consistency and focus. Why did I say so? I've seen quite a number of people who start a business and then they do this, after doing this for 1 year they change to something else, after 1 year they move to something else, after another year they say, okay. In our local parlance, say all roads lead to the market. It's not just one road, but it doesn't work that way, because you then become a jack of all trades and master of none. So my suggestion to up and coming people is that they should make up their mind where their passion is and stay there. If it is furniture making, every businesses have up and down. They call it sinusoidal curve in engineering. It goes up, it comes down. It goes up. So if you enter a business at the point when you are at the peak, enjoy it, because it's going to come down. And when it's going down, be resilient, because we still go up. So it's a cycle. But most of our people do not appreciate that. They think everything should be like that. It doesn't just work that way. So somebody wants to start must be resilient, must be determined, must be focused. And of course, I don't need to say that you have to be hardworking.
Your Excellency, let me say a very big thank you for having this conversation with us today. I want to believe that we've learned quite a lot, and our viewers also have been able to learn a lot in terms of the growth trajectory of Kresta Laurel Limited over the years and the kind of engineering feat it has recorded in Nigeria. And also your performance as the Executive Governor of Ogun State. We've learned quite a lot. You mentioned some of the milestones and things you've left behind as legacy that other successive administration must build on. Your Excellency, thank you again for this opportunity. We want to also enjoin you to continue to do your very best to give Nigeria the best in terms of your infrastructure and engineering practice. Thank you again, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, with that conversation with Otunba Gbenga Daniel, he was able to touch on a lot of things so to speak. And also we are quite delighted that we've been able to learn a lot of things in terms of his own mindset about Nigeria's infrastructure sector and his legacy in Ogun State. And it's been Kenneth Odushola Stevenson presenting The Conversation, an arm of Inside Business Africa. Next time we'll bring you another personality, a key player in the Nigerian economy. Stay with Inside Business at all times. And also don't forget to log on to our social media platform and also our YouTube channel to watch this particular episode of The Conversation on Inside Business Africa. Thank you again for watching.